A very warm welcome to the new episode of Ink and Insights. This is your host, Sumit Sarma Samir. This is a Nepal based podcast, but if you are interested in listening to the thought leaders from around the world, please subscribe to my channel. I'm extremely delighted to welcome highly acclaimed Indian author Amish Tripathi in my show today. Amish has reimagined the ancient epics of India in his best selling novels. His books have sold over 6 million copies and have been translated into several languages. In 2010, Amish released his debut novel, The Immortals of Meluha, which marked the beginning of his immensely popular Shiva trilogy, the series which reimagines the lives and adventures of Lord Shiva became a literary phenomenon in India and garnered widespread acclaim for its innovative fusion of mythology, history, fantasy, and philosophy. Following the success of the Shiva trilogy, Amish continued to explore mythological themes in his subsequent works, including the Ram Chandra series, which delves into the epic tale of Ramayana, and the Indic Chronicles, which explore lesser known figures from Indian mythology. Amish's novels are characterized by their thought provoking themes, compelling storytelling, and rich cultural insights. He has been praised for his ability to breathe new life into ancient myths and make them relevant to contemporary readers. Indian filmmaker Shekhar Kapoor calls Amish India's first literary pop star, whereas BBC calls him India's Tolkien and Asia's Paulo Coelho. Veer Sangvi, senior journalist and columnist, feels that Amish is thoughtful and deep. He is more than any author and represents the new India. Amish, I'm extremely honored to have you in my show. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sumit. Absolute pleasure joining you. I've been to Nepal a few times. I've of course offered prayers at Pashupati Nathji, and it's like coming to a cousin brother's culture. So it's
Oh, thank you.
wonderful
Thank you
speaking
so
to a
much.
Nepali. Thank you so much. I
Thank you,
always
Amish.
feel at
Thank you.
home whenever I've come to Nepal.
Wow, you
It's an
should
absolute
visit
pleasure.
again, Amish.
Certainly, it's been a few years. I think last time I came was maybe pre-COVID, actually, 5 6 years back.
Okay,
So I should certainly come again.
sure. Amish, I would like to take you a little back. Amish, you are a star today, but I want to take you back in 2010. That your first book, The Models of Meluha, was rejected by all the publishers that you approached at that point of time, and you went for self-publishing. At that point of time, when you faced rejections, what were your thoughts, Amish?
Um, there's this very nice line that bravery and stupidity are two sides of the same coin.
Right.
And I honestly wasn't thinking. I won't lie and say I wasn't disappointed. Of course, I was. That every single publisher it was sent to rejected my books. Some of them gave very long answers for why they think my books will be guaranteed flops. Um, but I was thinking that look, if no one else backs me, the hell with it. I'll back myself. I'll at least try my best. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right?
Right.
And I think seriously, when you're 75, 80, and evaluating your life, you'll probably regret the things that you didn't even try rather than the things that you tried and failed at, right?
Exactly.
भाई हार जीत तो होती रहती है. Success and failure are a part of life, but what you
Right.
truly regret are the things where you didn't even try. And there's this lovely line in the Bhagavad Gita, karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana,
Yeah.
that you have think about your karma itself, the beauty of your karma. Don't get lost in the fruits of the karma. And what Lord
Right.
Krishna was advising Arjun, and rather advising all of us, is that if you enjoy your karma so much that you're detached from the success or failure of that karma, then you're unstoppable, no? Because you're enjoying the work itself. That's how it was for my books, for me.
Right.
Anything that I did around my books made me happy. I was detached from whether it would be a success or failure. So that's what I was thinking at that point of time, that I'm at least going to try my best. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's okay. That's Lord Shiva's,
Exactly.
wishes, and who can challenge that? But I should try my best.
Right. Right. And your books, Amish, blend ancient mythology with contemporary storytelling in such a seamless way. I was wondering what inspired you to embark on this creative journey.
Sumit, because most of Nepal is also dharmic, Hindu or Buddhist or Jain. So it won't sound odd to a Nepali. It may sound odd to some other cultures, but to a Nepali it will not sound odd because in our tradition interpretations of our stories is actually a part of our tradition itself.
Right,
You know,
right, right.
uh, so many Indians and indeed many Nepalis believe that Lakshman Rekha is mentioned in the Ramayana. Because it is there in the 1980s television serial, it is there in the Manas, which was the 16th century version of the
Yeah,
Ramayana. But the original Valmiki Ramayana does not have a Lakshman Rekha. Now,
true.
this is one example. There are many stories like this. Many Nepalis are Shaivites. I'm a Shaivite, Lord Shiva worshipper. Well,
Yeah.
the story of the birth of Lord Shiva's son, Kartik, Lord Kartik,
Yeah.
is different in the Linga Puran, is different in the Skanda Puran. In the Skanda Puran, in fact, there are two stories, you know,
Hmm.
and they are interpretations, right? Kalidasa had his own interpretation in the Kumara Sambhava.
Right.
So this is part of our tradition. As long as you do it with respect, and it should be a disrespectful interpretation. And I think my books are respectful interpretations, but it's essentially carrying the soul of the old story and adding in something of the new. These are part of our dharmic traditions for millennia.
Absolutely, absolutely, Amish, and I really love, the plurality that's there in our tradition. This line I always love: "Ekam sat vipra bahuda
Vibra
vadati."
Bhagavad. Yeah,
Yeah,
from the Rig
so
Veda. Yeah. That's
absolutely,
why it's a
yeah.
pleasure
So
talking to a Nepali because most Nepalis know these things.
yeah, and many readers find your portrayal of mythological characters refreshing and relatable. How do you develop your character in your novels, especially when dealing with figures from ancient texts? You
uh,
pre-plan this, or it comes spontaneously? How do you do it?
No, I don't make any plans. I don't make character sketches. I don't even make a story format, a story
Right.
summary. I'm an instinctive writer. I just write the way it comes to me. And I've said this often. I genuinely believe my stories are the blessings of Lord Shiva, and that I'm only a channel. And I
Right.
write what comes to me. I open the laptop I've said this often. A parallel universe opens up, and I record what I see. That's how I write.
Right.
So I won't be arrogant enough to say that I am the creator and I have created this. No, I'm only a lucky recipient of the blessings of Lord Shiva. Until the blessings come, I'll keep writing. Someday, I don't know, the blessings may stop. If Lord Shiva feels my job is done, then the blessings will stop. But till the blessings come, I will keep writing.
Well, I mean, you have so much of blessings from your readers. Lord Shiva will continue to bless you, Amish. We want you to continue to write and we want to read you. But is there any writing process? Say, for example, do you write in the mornings or in the evening, or is there any time for you, something like that?
Yeah, so there are rituals. So I don't, like I said, I don't make story summaries or uh, character charts or character I don't do all that. I just let it flow. But there are rituals that I follow. I'm a morning person, so I write best in the morning. I'm normally asleep by 10:30, and I'm normally up by 5:30, latest 6. Uh, I do my pranayam, yoga, puja in the morning, and in my writing breaks, I start writing by 8:30, and I write continuously till it flows. I normally listen to music while writing. The words of the music don't matter. I kind of zone the words out, but the mood of the music has to match the mood of what I'm writing. So if
Right.
it's a love scene, it should be a love song. If it's a war scene, it should be like one of those, like those rock songs or something. So the music kind of gets me into the mood. And the third thing is that I eat a lot of cream biscuits normally while writing. So
In the
usually,
morning.
Yeah, and the kind of cream biscuits I got when I was a kid, those orange cream and pineapple cream and bourbon, which when we were young we used to call it bonbon. Many of my readers know this. So at many
Yeah,
lit fests, actually, I get my readers who come with the biscuit
the biscuit.
packets. Yeah, take this and write quicker.
Next time I'll get one pack for you as well. So, your immensely popular work on Shiva trilogy, you brought Shiva into a life, into a character. Did you face any specific challenges while doing so?
No, not really. I think only when I was writing Immortals of Meluha, the first book, because initially, because I'd written no fiction before Immortals of Meluha. So I'd read these self-help books, because I had the story idea, but I didn't know how to write. So there are these self-help books on writing. So I read many of them, and I tried to write according to what those self-help books suggested. So I
Right.
made those character sketches, I made a story summary, I did all that, and that was a super flop. It didn't work at all. It's only when I junked all that and just started writing with my instinct, that just going with the flow. E- Excuse me, even if a twist does not make sense at that point of time, I just learned to just trust it. If this is the way it's supposed, if a character is supposed to die, he or she is supposed to die. I can't do anything about it. Or
Right.
if suddenly takes a twist this way, that way, I don't control it. I just let the instinct flow. Once I started writing that way, then there was no looking back.
Right. Amish, if I may ask, imagine that if at all you are granted the opportunity to travel back in time and have a conversation with one mythological figure, who would it be and what burning question would you ask them?
It's a very easy question. Only Lord Shiva. Uh, and what I obviously first I would just lie down and hold his feet, if he
True.
gave me that opportunity, and then I would ask, two questions perhaps. That why was I blessed with this gift? Because I wrote no fiction before Immortals of Meluha. What is the
Wow.
purpose? Why me?
That's so interesting.
There were so many better writers, frankly. Why me? Why did I get these? And why do I keep getting these stories? I had no. I was a completely left-brained, maths-oriented. And look, I did BSc Mathematics, MBA from IIM Calcutta. I was a banker. I read a
Yeah.
lot, but I was never creative. And why did this blessing come to me? I would like to ask him that. And secondly, I faced a lot of personal. I mean, my career kept going better and better. But from around 2015 onwards, for some 7 8 years, there's a lot of personal tragedies, uh, and yeah, like, and if things happen to your family where
Right.
uh, which hurts you even more. And there's no one to blame, cancer, heart attacks. What do? You just have to suffer
Right.
what there is to suffer, and you lose people you love very deeply. You lose them in a tragic, sudden manner, repeatedly, one after the other.
Right.
Um, it's hard. So I would ask, why did that happen to me? Um, couldn't it have been slightly easier?
Really sorry to hear all that,
It's life.
Amish.
It's life.
Yeah.
It,
But, I
it's
was listening to one.
there's this Kashmiri. There was this ancient Kashmiri writer Kalhan, and he'd
Mhm.
written this text called Ras Tarangini. So he'd said that uh, when you are about to be blessed by the greatest of fortunes, it's also when uh, retreating misfortune raises the power of its sorrows. It's the way the universe balances itself. So maybe if you receive more blessings than you deserve in your career or somewhere else, maybe you'll receive more grief and suffering than is fair in your personal life. Maybe that's the way the universe balances itself. What do you do? What do you do?
Exactly, Amish. In fact, I was listening to a couple of your interviews before this one, and yourself, you have responded by, by saying on the life of Lord Rama himself, we
Yeah.
should not pinpoint on one specific event, rather than we should look into the entirety of
Yeah.
that personality, be it Rama or be it the father of the nation, Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi ji,
Mm.
and we have to look from that perspective. Perhaps yours has also to
It's
be viewed.
things balance themselves, and I think from Lord Ram we perhaps learn. Uh, One of the things that Gautam Buddha had said, and who's, I think one of the greatest products of the Indian subcontinent. He was born on the India-Nepal border, and I mean, Indian subcontinent encompassed all of the subcontinent. Right now there are political boundaries, but in ancient times we were all one people. Um,
Yeah,
and he had said that the fundamental, in his first of his four noble truths, that grief is a fundamental reality of life. Everyone suffers, no one escapes it.
exactly.
Um, and life perhaps is not about what happens to you, it is about how you react to what happens to you. And this we can learn from Lord Ram and Ravan. Both of
Right,
them suffered, and both of
right,
them, in some areas of their life, they had grief, they had suffering. But Ravan's reaction to his grief and suffering was rage and anger. That the world
right,
hurt me, I will burn the entire world down. Whereas
right,
Lord Ram's reaction to his grief and suffering was that if he would behave with even more nobility. That
right,
if the world was unfair to him, he would behave even more with grace and nobility. And
right,
perhaps that's the thing to learn from Lord Ram. Uh,
right.
you have to suffer what there is to suffer. But if you
Exactly.
behave with strength and grace and nobility, uh, A, you make life a little easier for yourself. B, you don't add to the suffering in the world. No,
Yeah.
you make the world a slightly better place, and Lord Ram made the world a so much better place. That's one of
Right.
the things we learn.
Right. Amish, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, they're extremely popular here in Nepal as well. But what really bothers me is the way it's been approached these days is, there's a linear way of looking into this story wherein there are multiple, it should have been
Mhm.
viewed from multiple angles. That plurality seems to have lost. And I think that's not a good approach of looking into these stories as such.
Sumit, I think part of the problem is a lack of knowledge, uh, and that ignorance grows in the absence of light.
Right.
From what I have seen in Nepal, this is less of a problem in Nepal. In Nepal, I've seen that our traditions and cultures are taught a lot more. In India, our education system is still very colonial, so we don't teach the Rama and Mahabharat, Lord Shiva stories. Um, and the result of that is because we don't have enough knowledge, then you have either hateful interpretations, or where, oh, everything about our traditions is wrong, or bigoted interpretations that only our interpretation is right, all others are wrong.
Right.
Whereas the truth is obviously in the center. There's a lot of love,
Yeah.
respect for our
Absolutely.
traditions, but we must respect other interpretations as well, which is what our ancient ways. And I think both India and Nepal should work on this, teach our youngsters the Rama and Mahabharat stories, because if we don't teach them, then they learn it
Right.
from other sources, or they don't learn it at all. you know
Right.
there are so many
Right.
children who are getting thoroughly westernized. I'm not anti-west, there are good things from the west that we should learn, but first we must
Yeah.
learn our own traditions. First we must be rooted.
Yeah.
If a tree doesn't have roots, the tree will die. And our roots
Absolutely.
are our soil and our traditions. We must develop those first. One of the things Acharya Chanakya had said, you can pluck the leaves off a tree, you can cut the branch of a tree, the tree will still be alive. But if you cut the roots, the tree is dead, the tree will
Yeah.
die. And our roots are our dharmic traditions, we must not forget them.
Right. So, what advice would you like to give to the aspiring authors who really want to write on the mythology?
The first thing is read a lot, because this is a big, deep area. You must have knowledge in this area to be able to interpret and write well. That's the first thing. Secondly, when you write, don't care about readers, critics, publishers, and that. Write with your heart. Write what feels right
Exactly.
to you. right?
Yeah.
Whether it works or not, that's up to Lord Shiva. That's later, right? Write with your heart. And the third thing, once you've completed the book, realize that nothing sells itself. You have to market it properly as well. So write with your heart, but when you start marketing, use your mind. Market it properly. Nothing sells by itself.
Right. Right. So, one of the thing that's perhaps is lacking in terms of approaching is reading. It is to understand the level of the plurality we have, the spectrum of philosophies that we live in, and
True.
then the space that we provide to people. Perhaps that's the area wherein authors should be working more. And what are your thoughts on the current landscape of Indian literature, and where do you see it heading in the future?
Sumit, your first point, it's so true because only when you read all our traditions do you realize there are so many interpretations.
Exactly.
And, my family, my grandfather, my paternal grandfather was a Pandit at Vishwanathji and
I
in
know.
Varanasi and he used to teach at
Yeah.
BHU. And we are a very traditional and a very liberal family, which is not a contradiction in the traditional
Exactly.
Indian way. Because the more you read our scriptures, you'll automatically become liberal. There's this interpretation put out that to be liberal or to respect women's rights or to LGBT rights, you have to somehow be westernized. Not true. You actually have to be truly Indian. Our ancient scriptures were very liberal. The problem is
Right.
if we don't read them, then we don't know that actually they are
Yeah.
very liberal. So we must read those scriptures, and that advice should certainly be given, not just to those who want to write in this area, but anyone who's Indian or who's interested in our ancient way of life. If you can be traditional and liberal at the same time, that's a perfect combination. In the
Exactly.
West, it's told that to be liberal, you have to burn all traditions. That's not a good idea. It leads to loneliness. One has seen that in the
Yeah.
West. And in some
Yeah.
countries, like some countries in the Middle East, they are so traditional that there's no space for liberalism, no space for women's rights, no space for LGBT rights. That's also not good. So going on the extreme of liberalism without traditions is not good. Going to the extreme of traditions without liberalism is also not good. But in the
Exactly.
dharmic way, you can have both. You can be traditional and liberal. All you have to do is read our scriptures. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And in terms of the literature landscape, look, I see the next 20-25 years as a very exciting time for those of us from the Indian subcontinent. India is rising economically. Uh, just over 35, 35 years ago, India's GDP was lower than two or three American car companies. We were that poor, right?
Right.
Just a
Right.
few car companies, General Motors, Ford Motors, Chrysler, made more money than all of
Mhm.
India 35 years ago. And post 1991, with our economic reforms, just last year, we crossed the GDP of a former colonial master, UK,
Right.
right?
Right.
And you saw
Right.
the GDP data of the last quarter, which was released just yesterday, came in at 8.5%. India is booming, right?
Right.
And at the
Right.
pace we are growing, we'll be number three in another 2-3 years. What
Yeah.
that does is, because remember, soft power and cultural power follows hard power and economic power. As India
True.
rises economically, people will be interested in our culture as well. And the India Nepal culture is actually very similar, right? Which means
Right.
people will
Right.
be interested in Nepali culture as well. Indians are very interested in Nepali culture. So this
Yeah.
is a time of opportunity for the next 20-25 years. Many will be interested in interpretations that are rooted in the Indian subcontinent. Many of the books
Right.
that were written on the Indian subcontinent till now were very anglicized, a foreign exotic take on India,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
even Indian authors, I really like some of these authors, Salman Rushdie or Vikram Seth. They're very good authors,
Right.
but their idiom, their culture is very anglicized and outside in take on India.
Mhm.
The
Right.
books that are an inside out take now, which are rooted in India and speaking confidently to the rest of the world, and not just
Right.
books, documentaries, movies, everything in this area, I think will have a tremendous market over the next 20-25 years because the world will be interested in this. And there's an opportunity for creatives in India, opportunity for creatives in Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, all Bangladesh, all of us in the Indian subcontinent. It's a huge opportunity because of the rise of India.
Right, absolutely, and it really sends a lot of confidence when I read and find out, philosophy which at the one spectrum says that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, and the another spectrum it says that Yavat Jivet Sukham Jivet Rinam Kritva and Gritam Pivet. I mean,
Yeah,
where on
both.
earth can you have these contradictions living side by side together?
And neither of them are blasphemy. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of the
Exactly.
Indian way. We can have
Right.
multiple truths. And we have so many of the philosophical schools in the dharmic religions. Sankhya, Mimamsa, which are Hindu schools, Bodha, Jaina, the Hinayana Buddhists, they are actually atheist schools. They don't believe in a creator God. And there are
Right.
also schools which believe in a creator God, but there was no concept of blasphemy. We could respectfully debate with each other. This is the beauty of the Indian way. We must speak of this confidently.
Finally, Amish, my final question for you would be: could you share a memorable experience or encounter from your journey as an author that has left a lasting impact on you?
Let me quote an experience that I had in Nepal when I'd come out there. So first was, of
Wow.
course, when I visited Pashupati Nathji,
Mhm.
uh, and I was invited by a lit fest, and they organized a trip for me, and some people at the gate, and including a few of the pujaris were there. They recognized me, so they were they took me, gave me a lovely darshan. It was so and many of them actually couldn't speak English
Right.
properly, or even Hindi
Yeah.
properly. It was kind of like a broken Hindi, but we were still communicating with each other because all of us had a
Absolutely.
common passion for Lord Shiva. And it was a
Right.
beautiful experience. And at that time, I'd also remember when I'd come back, there were two Nepali books that were given to me, Karnali Blues and Mughlan.
Okay.
And I enjoyed both of them. And to
Right.
all my Indian followers who'd follow this, I'd suggest check these two books out.
Great. Great. Thank you so much, Amish. It's been really pleasure to have you in my show. Thank you once again for your time. I'm really thankful to you.
Thanks, Sumit. You take care. Bye.